Hey everybody! So it's really exciting. We are here to talk about the next episode of Doctor Who. I think this is episode number 5, I believe. And this is called Oxygen. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed this episode. I'm fairly new to Doctor Who. This is my first season of watching, and my friend Jonathan's here with me. He's a Doctor Who aficionado, you might say. And so say hi.
Hello.
Yeah. So, what did you think overall opinions about this episode?
I I liked it. It was kind of formulaic for Doctor Who. It's one of their I think they've come to call them base under siege episodes where they'll have like a secluded base somewhere in the universe, like off on an asteroid or underwater or something, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll get attacked by some sort of a monster. So it was similar in that way to a lot of other. There was a lot of actually in this episode that was very similar to a lot of other episodes. I feel like I'm saying that every single episode this season. They seem to
well,
be revisiting a whole lot of plot points.
I
But
mean, when a show's been on for 10 years, that's going to happen,
yeah, it
you
just seems to
know?
be happening quite frequently this season.
Yeah, yeah. One I heard mentioned on the thing I watched was Colony in Space. This one was a lot like Colony in Space. Do you
I
know
don't
that one?
recognize the title, but it's
Oh, okay.
possible that that's what from like the old series, which I've only watched a fraction of those because there's hundreds and hundreds of episodes.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So the one thing I thought was sort of weird about this episode was, and maybe it was just me, because I felt like this was like the whole message of the episode is about capitalism and how the dangers of capitalism and whatever. And yet I thought it was sort of strange that you have this sort of obvious kind of tie-in to Aliens and Alien Covenant. It felt very much like the Alien franchise, except for you didn't have the face splat, I guess. But and there was a long trailer for Alien Covenant, like a special sneak peek Alien Covenant kind of a thing. And I don't know, I kind of felt like it was sort of weird. There's
I
this cross promotion mixed with this anti-capitalist message.
I don't know. I haven't ever seen Alien. I have a friend who keeps telling me I've got to see it. I've got to see it, but I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't quite understand what the tie-in might be.
Oh, well, it's just about this uh, these astronauts on this space thing and the spaceship, whatever, that are being
Hmm.
kind of hunted by these aliens, and there's just sort of this very similar like feel and atmosphere. And
Okay.
anyway, it looked pretty similar to me, and so I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny, but
Okay.
yeah, that you just I don't know. I just thought it may have been slightly tongue in cheek as well, because there's this anti-capitalist message, and maybe I'm reading way more to it. But that was just what struck me, was that they do this capitalist thing
I
whilst
think it
being
was
anti-capitalist.
I think it was sort of it was probably sort of anti-capitalist. I think it was more of a cautionary tale type of thing because I saw a little clip of an interview with the writer, and he said that he didn't want he thought at first he was being too political, but he really wanted to say this is where we could go if we're not careful. Because I immediately picked up on something like the Flint water thing, where the
Mm-hmm.
government has all this water they're trying to get people to pay for, and I know that this is not. I know that this couldn't be a direct spin-off of that because I'm sure it was written a while back, and the whole thing about the government trying to get the people of Flint to pay for the water that they're not using just happened a couple weeks ago. So it's not directly that, but I feel there's similar things that have happened in the past that I think that this was sort of based on, like a corporation acting immorally, which is not unheard of course, but
Yeah.
I think it was sort of anti-capitalist, but in a cautionary tale type of way, which is not
Maybe.
unheard of for Doctor Who.
I maybe thought it was a little more heavy-handed than you did, but I still enjoyed the episode for the most part. So anyway, let's talk about it and go through the episode. So you have this distress call that the doctor kind of playfully answers and gets and decides to follow. He kind of says, "Oh, we're gonna go camping in space," and that was sort of fun, I thought. And Nordahl is very against this, doesn't want him to leave. He says that they took an oath and the vault cannot be left unguarded. And so, yeah, that was interesting, I think.
I liked that the oath turned out to have been something the doctor made him say. I love that all this stuff about the oath was the doctor telling him, you can't let me leave, which that's so him.
Mm.
That's something he would do. And then he would try and break what he wanted to do and do something different, change his mind. It's very him.
Yeah, that's true. He's very quick on his feet. He says, the universe shows its true face when it asks for help, and we show ours by how we respond. I thought that was a pretty good little quote that, the sort of the doctor's philosophy to things. And so it did have a creepy beginning too, I'm going to say, with the woman talking, with the two space, two astronauts. Yeah. That was effective, I think, in drawing you in. And so what did you think of this idea of like the space station and the way that sort of it was using air to control people, manipulate people in these suits?
I thought it was clever-ish. Like I said, I took it as a correlation between like the water at Flint or other similar things where corporations are acting immorally. So, I mean, I suppose I could see something like that happening because corporations have done shady things in the past, and if laws were changed, I think they probably would do more. They try and get away with more stuff. But, and like you said, I think it was a little heavy-handed. So it took me out of it a little bit, just because it was like, they probably could have done it just slightly more subtle.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It didn't ruin the episode for me or anything.
No, me either. It's just every episode has its pluses and minuses. And
yeah.
So, okay. So let's see here. What do I have next? There's these suits. I did think the suits were pretty clever, and it was a little bit, they did a good job of kind of keeping you guessing. Like you didn't know exactly kind of what the suits were going to be doing, and also what the I called it the space zombie thing.
Yeah,
like that.
I got that too. It looked like they were trying to do a zombie type thing.
Yeah, I thought that it was actually kind of clever and different and something new, and I wasn't 100% sure, how it all worked and what was going to happen. So I think it kept it pretty unpredictable for this kind of story.
I agree, but parts of it were very similar to a different episode. I think I mentioned it before, the smile with the clouds of the nanobots that would strip the person down to the skeleton. In the episode that I said that was similar to, the people who were stripped down to the skeleton were inside spacesuits. So by the end of the episode, the spacesuits were full of the little microscopic creatures walking around in the spacesuits with a skeleton inside. So it was very, very similar, except these were just the body. It wasn't the skeleton. So it was completely different in that the suit was mechanized. It was like a robot. So I'm sure they weren't thinking of being exactly the same, but having a walking spacesuit with a dead person inside, it's very, very similar, and I thought they could have done it even more differently. I don't know. It seemed too
fair enough. Yeah, that's I'm sure that's true. I did think somebody made a good point in one of the things I was watching where they said, does pretending to kill off the doctor or the companion work, because we know there's more episodes in the season? Like there's not is that much tension, really. Like, we know that Bill is not going to die. Like, it's a little silly.
Yeah, I wondered about that too, except I completely misjudged the ending, because when the voice in the suit said that something like "your lives are in our hands," I guess I assumed that was sort of supposed to be a red herring, and that the suits were like shutting the bodies down, so the corporations were like taking their lives, but they could get them back. And I thought that's how Bill was going to end up being saved. So it surprised me when it was just, oh, I saw that the suit's battery was about to die, so there was no way it could actually kill her. So I don't know. I wanted everybody to live. I mean, not that I got to really like any of the characters. We didn't see them enough for me to feel like I got to know them enough. Except I really liked the blue guy, but that was only because he was blue, and I thought he was a good design.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. When you look at all of these episodes, I guess there were some people who died in Smile, and then there was a little boy who died in Thin Ice. But now we've gotten 2 in a row where everybody's been sort of restored and everyone's fine.
They didn't all get restored though, because there was like 30-some people who were dead for good. But
the ones that we had lines and dialogue and stuff.
Yeah, they survived.
Yeah, like I'm just saying. Also, when you think of the knock knock, all the roommates were all
Everybody Lives sort of episode.
Yeah,
which I was fine with, because I liked most of those characters.
Yeah, I like the doctor says, "I'm the doctor. I will do everything in my power to save all your lives, and when I do, you will spend the rest of them wondering who I was and why I helped you."
I really liked that line.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, and how do you think? Somebody asked me, like, what do you think of Peter Capaldi as the doctor? And I've only seen him, so I don't have any opinion. But how do you think that he handles this kind of sort of being the doctor? These kinds of statements and these kind of his sort of characterization of the doctor. Do you like it? Do you like him?
Yes, I do like him. But I think I've said before, he's probably not my favorite. But that doesn't mean I dislike anything about him. I really like his character. I just like other doctors more, because they're funnier and, I don't know, more charming. I don't know. Peter Capaldi, he can be funny, but he's really stern a lot of times. He doesn't have too much of a sense of humor. It's just he's a lot more subtle about it.
Okay, that makes sense.
The other doctors, they could be a lot more funnier, and that's why I liked them better.
Okay, so these there's this new distress call, and these new astronauts come to try to save them, and it ends up being that this is continually kind of it's almost like a factory of this for this corporation to keep selling oxygen. Basically, it's kind of the setup. It's pretty convoluted, but it works for what it is. Yeah. And anyway, and there's this blue person, like you said, and I think that Bill says something to him about being blue, and he says, "Oh, great, we are rescuing racists." And I thought that was interesting dynamic.
It was kind of funny. I don't know if the joke hit as well as the writer thought it was going to hit, but it worked, I guess. I kind of wanted him to be nicer just because I really liked him, but he was nice enough, I guess. I didn't want him to die. I don't know. He might have been. I feel like there was some blue characters in a different episode, like the first season, and I'm wondering if he's supposed to be the same race. I don't know. I just thought if it was, that was a nice nod back to the first season.
All right, yeah, it's like having a Megamind on the on the ship or something.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. This did have a bit of also not only an alien feel, but it definitely had a Star Trek feel. This felt like felt a lot like episode of Star Trek to me. Okay, so let's see. So it's a pretty tense scene when Bill gets exposed to the vacuum of space, and you get this slow motion, and they try to really play it up for that tension, and and he has to say, "Do you trust me?" and all this stuff. I don't know. Did you like that? Did it work for you?
Yeah, I did, and the sound design was really good too. I wasn't listening with headphones, but they did something with the sound that I could really hear, like the sound effects of the space and the stuff around me. It was whatever they did with the sound mix. I really liked in that particular scene. I thought it was really effective.
Yeah, I did too. I was even though I know that she's not really going to die, like. I thought it was effective. I was in that moment. I was tense. I was anxious. I wanted to know what was going to happen. So I thought it was effective. I did. So I thought there was. So they end up in this like oh, I don't know what they called it, but they end up in this one part of the ship where they're not able to be tracked or whatever. And
I think it was an addition, like they had recently built that section of the ship.
Okay.
It hadn't been added to the ship's maps yet.
Okay. And I really liked the conversation that that the doctor had with one of the other crew members, and he says, "Oh, it's not their fault that things got out of hand or whatever." And I liked he said, "What's wrong with this universe? Everyone says it's not their fault. Well, yes, it is." And I do think that like it's good to kind of find out sort of the backstory of people and to find out their motivation and why they did things that they do, and that's good and healthy. But we need to be very careful about finding that line between excusing and understanding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I thought that was good.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of people, something goes wrong, they'll try and shift the blame to somebody else. Like my brothers and I used to do that all the time when we were little kids. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. Well, it may not be your fault directly, but if it's something that you were all involved in, everyone shares some bit of the blame.
Yeah. Well, and even like, say somebody commits like a murder or something like that, we can understand why they did that or what motivated to them to do that. But just because they had motivation or they had a backstory or they had things, that doesn't excuse them from what they did. So we just have to be, I think, careful about that line. I think can get a little fuzzy, and I think that's why you end up having like, I don't know, women visiting serial killers in prison and stuff like that, like just weird stuff, because it's like, well, they understand sort of the motivation and they haven't separated that. They've managed to let that cloud their judgment. So anyway, I just thought that was a good quote. So I also I wrote down, I thought this was a very quotable episode, maybe because it was so allegorical.
Episodes this season.
Yeah. And he said, what's wrong? Oh, wait, he said, nice thing about life is no matter how bad it gets, there's always one option available. Oh, that was good.
Yeah, that's good too. I don't think I remembered that one, but I do like that.
Yeah. And so, let's see. What was I said I can't remember. I wrote down, he's going to tell them to blow them up. Trying to remember what that was all about. So I'm trying to think. So there was all this tension about what's the doctor going to do? They're running out of oxygen. The zombies are outside. How is he going to save Bill? All this kind of stuff. And so it's a pretty tense scene. And he says the end point of capitalism is where human life has no value at all. We are fighting an algorithm. So again, a little heavy-handed, but
I can see
whatever.
why he would think that, because if you most systems like that, if you let them get too out of control, it can have bad consequences for the people at the bottom.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, they all in their extremes. That's why they're sort of tempered by government and other things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That helps. There you have that difference between economic systems and government. They're
Mm-hmm.
not one and the same. So, and let's see here. I don't know. What did you have in your notes after this point? My notes got a little fuzzy. The suits need more oxygen. Things are getting tense. And he says, if we die, your precious station will also die. So they're, I guess, counting on them buying more oxygen. Is that right? Or
Well, I think when he said that, what he did with the computer was he set it up so that their life support was tied into like the cooling system, I think, of the station, so that if their suits detected no signs of life support, the cooling system was going to either like explode or be jettisoned out into space, but
oh, okay.
it would effectively destroy the entire mining ship. So he was building in a failsafe so that if the corporation killed them, they would be ruining their entire livelihood because they wouldn't have a mining station anymore.
Okay. I get it. I was a little confused, but I was just sort of enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, okay. And then we kind of so he was able to kind of in a way sort of manipulate them back, is sort of use their
Yeah.
own tactics against them, really.
I guess the suits, I don't think the corporation was actively like monitoring the thing. I'm not sure. I took it that the suits were wired to recognize when something was going to be costly to the company. So when he said that their deaths would be expensive, the suits all stopped walking. I think the suits were trying to figure out what exactly was going on. Maybe the corporation was watching. I don't know. They didn't specify whether the corporation was the ones actively trying to kill them or the suits were just programmed that way. I wasn't completely clear, but that was the point. He was building something in the programming to force their hand. They would be forced to keep them alive instead of killing them.
Right, because they don't want to lose the ship.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, did you like that? Did you think it was good?
Yeah, I thought it was a really clever way to get out. As soon as he started talking about tying their life support systems to the cooling system, I was like, oh, I know exactly what he's doing. That's kind of brilliant. I thought it was a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. Even though I didn't quite understand it, I still enjoyed it and thought it was engrossing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, and then we end up kind of back in there's sort of a screen wipe, and we end up back in the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's restored, and Bill's back, and everything's kind of hunky-dory.
The one thing, I haven't watched it in a while, but I feel like the end where they're talking about he's going to drop them off at headquarters so they can like file a complaint or whatever they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm remembering wrong. I don't know, but I feel like a different episode had almost that exact ending where something bad happened in a similar company, totally different operation in a different place, but there was a horrible disaster, and I feel like the few survivors were like left at the headquarters to complain or something. I don't know. I maybe I'm misremembering, but I could have sworn that already happened.
So the one that I had heard is the colony in space. It looks like it was the 4th episode of the 8th season. So
The one I'm thinking of is a 2-parter episode called I can't remember what the one is called, but like The Rebel Flesh, or maybe an Almost Human, something like that. But The Rebel Flesh I'm pretty sure was one of the titles. And if people are watching, they'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, I guess the one that I had heard was from one of the old seasons, 1972 or something. So
Yeah, it's
there you
probably not
go.
one I've seen. Most of the ones I've seen are from the 80s.
Fair enough. All right, so yeah, I'm sure that, it's kind of like a Simpsons problem after a while. Like once you get to 10 seasons, you're going to repeat.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so many places that Homer can go visit. It's kind of the same thing. Okay, so here we go. The Nordahl, and he was pretty annoying this episode, I'd say. I thought, but he says, we were so close to not making it back. What would happen to the vault? What happens to your precious Earth then? You need to be ready if that door opens.
Mm-hmm. I didn't find him too annoying because he has a point. Whatever's in the vault, apparently, we don't know yet. Whatever's there is apparently going to be bad for Earth. And the Doctor is technically shirking his duties by going off to have an adventure. So I understand why Nordahl was annoyed with him for leaving.
I understand, but I don't know, just the way that he talks and the way that he was, I don't know, I did find him kind of annoying. I'm like, a little bit of that character goes a long way. Let's put it that way for me.
Yeah, I can see that. I like the actor, so I guess that's probably why I don't find him annoying. But I can see why other people would.
Yeah. So the sort of the big, I guess if you could call it a cliffhanger, is that so the Doctor is made blind by during the course of the episode, and he is still blind at the end of the episode. So that was interesting. What do you think of that?
I thought that was actually kind of brilliant because the Doctor, aside from once in a great while having a companion die, he doesn't face that many consequences. He doesn't have too many things happen to him that is not repairable by the end of the episode. So, like one time, soon after he regenerated, he got his hand cut off, but because it was so close to his time of being regenerated, the hand grew back immediately. So things will happen to him, but it's always resolved right away. You know what I mean? So I thought it was kind of a good twist to have something temporarily permanent, because I'm sure he's not going to be blind forever. If at the most he'll be blind till he regenerates, but I kind of doubt that'll happen. It'll probably be an episode or two of him being blind, and then somehow he'll get a sight back. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll make it last till he regenerates, but I thought it was nice to have him have something more consequential happen to him, especially since he did it for a companion. Like he lost his sight saving Bill, so I thought it was good writing.
Yeah, I can see that. That you want some kind of stakes and some kind of tension, and also like it seems like it's nice to have some through line. You already have the like it's good to have standalone episodes, but it's also good to have some connections between all of them in this kind of show. So you already have the vault is sort of your continuing thing through, and now we have this. Maybe we won't. Maybe it'll just be one episode, and he'll be blind, or maybe the whole season. Who knows?
Well, I don't remember if it's this episode or the next one, but I know there's a 3-parter coming up, like 3 weeks of continuing episodes. And if it's the next one, if it's the next one, I'm kind of thinking he'll at least be blind for 3 episodes. So, and this is just me speculating, of course, but I think it's going to last for a little while. I don't think it'll necessarily last for the whole season, but it is nice to have something else tying the episodes together than just the vault, because that doesn't happen very often. It's usually one thing other than the companion's life. There'll be one other thing that ties the episodes together. So it is nice to have more continuing threads.
And I guess he's not able to regenerate his eyes. I guess
No, he should be able to regenerate his eyes, but he'd have to regenerate his whole body.
Okay. Okay.
The eyes, I'm sure the eyesight will be back as soon as he gets a new body, but he can't just choose which body parts to regenerate. The only time he's regenerated something other than his whole body was his hand. That one time, but only because it was right after he regenerated, like within 24 hours.
Okay. All right. Well, that was all my notes. Do you have any other notes? Any parts you want to talk about?
I think we've covered most of it. I'll go through these just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure. Oh, the end. I liked, going back to the anti-capitalism thing, I liked that when the doctor was explaining what happened, he talked about how that it was like close to the end of capitalism or something in the future. But I liked that he said that humanity would move on to the next mistake instead of naming some other form of government or whatever that would fix everything. Because too often I think people think that there's one specific thing like capitalism or socialism that that's the perfect way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like this will solve everything.
Mm-hmm.
Conservatives think that capitalism is the perfect system, and liberals think socialism is the perfect system. But that's not really true. There's good sides and bad sides to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that he didn't just name something else that could be easily shot down. Like he didn't say that humanity moved on to socialism and everything got better. I liked that he said they moved on to the next mistake.
Yeah.
It was, I mean,
Yeah,
it's a little dark to think about, but I liked that it wasn't too much of a message episode that they were favoring one specific thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I think that, we have to just remember that that human beings are mortal, especially when you're dealing with power, and power corrupts,
Yes.
And what is it? Batman v Superman, power corrupts perfectly, or whatever he says. No, but yeah, I think that's what was so brilliant about what the founders did, is they set up all of these checks and balances. And so when somebody in one branch oversteps, then you've got the other branch saying, slow down, kind of a thing. And so, that's what makes, I think, it work so well. But anyway, that's probably another podcast. But yeah, that was a nice little sort of trying to kind of moderate a little bit, from the rather with the allegory that we'd seen earlier in the episode. So, so if you had like 1 to 10, what rating would you give this episode?
Probably a 7.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Yeah, I would probably give it a 7 as well, because I didn't have those comparison issues that you had, because I haven't seen those shows, but I had a few others, so we each had kind of different issues, but we had also strengths. It was certainly entertaining. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, I thought it was formulaic, but they put in enough twists that it made it better than I expected it to be. Because usually the Based Under Siege episodes aren't really my favorites.
Okay.
Unless there's like a really cool monster or something, and I didn't find these monsters particularly cool.
Did you like Smile better than this?
Probably, but only because it was such a more visually pleasing episode. The storyline, I probably liked this one better. Overall, I probably liked Smile better, just because I liked so many of the design choices in the episode. This one was just kind of dark and boring. It was very, very dark and spacey and dingy. It was a mining ship, so you can't get too creative and gorgeous, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think Thin Ice is still my favorite so far. That was really great. And then my second favorite is Knock Knock.
It's probably a toss-up of those two for me.
Yeah, those are the two best so far.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, cool. Well, where can people find you?
Twitter, John J. North, JONJ, North, like the direction.
Sweet. And I'll have that in the description section. And it was a busy day for me on my channel. I recorded a trailer reaction to, I found out it was the international Emoji Movie trailer, which I think was actually better than the American Emoji Movie trailer. But anyway, so I have that. And then I also have a trailer reaction to the indie animated film, The Breadwinner, which gave me hope for movies. It looks really good.
About that movie. I need to go watch the trailer.
Yeah, it's so good, so good. Anyway, so it's busy.
Better than the Emoji Movie trailer.
Yeah. So, and then I also last night I posted my review of the cute little teen romance movie Everything Everything, which I really enjoyed. It was my kind of movie. What can I say? So that was fun, and so yeah, a lot of exciting. And this Saturday, I'm going to be doing a podcast with my friend and Stanford. We're going to be talking about Field of Dreams, so that's going to be really fun. So
before we go, I should show you my shirt.
Yeah, gotta show.
This one is the 12th Doctor.
Oh, nice.
You probably wouldn't know at the bottom, but instead of the hands raising, it's hand mines from one of the episodes. The hands with the eye in the middle. So I thought that was a pretty clever shirt.
Yeah, that is good. I like it. I forgot to wear my Doctor Who shirt. I have my super.
Yeah, I like
girls shirt.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Well, great. Well, thanks so much, and we'll look forward to next week. This should be fun.
Yep, I'll see you then.
Okay.